Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to Wednesday Marathon, the day we take on the bigger catalogues. And today is another viewer's request, and it's another band that obviously I've heard of them, but I've never took much notice of them. I've heard one or two tracks by them, and that band is the Flaming Lips. Now, they're an American psychedelic rock band formed in 1983 in Oklahoma. I've had quite a few people through the band. The current lineup is Wayne Coyne, or Coyne, spelled C-O-Y-N-E, Stephen Drozd, or Drozad, Derek Brown, Matt Duckworth, Kirksley, Nicholas Lee. The people that have Steve and Wayne have been the people that have been in the band from the beginning. Interesting band. I've really enjoyed listening to them because I've found some stuff that I really do like by them. And they've released 16 studio albums. Again, I'd not really heard much of their stuff, so this was a real eye-opener. So this is sort of that first real impression of this band I've had. So if I don't agree, you don't agree with me, it's not because I'm new to this music, so I listen to things differently. They're all pretty good, actually. There's one or two tracks that I'll go, and there's one album that I just couldn't get on with. So let's have a look at these. So coming in at number 16, we go to the 8th album from 1997, and it's Zaireeka. Zaireeka, I think that's how you pronounce it. And it's the first album after the departure of guitarist Roland Jones. So we've got Wayne Coyne. Now, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. It's Coyne. So I'll just call him Wayne, I think. Stephen Drozoid on drums and guitars and keyboards, and Michael Ivins on the bass. So the first track on this one is called OK. I'll admit that I really don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand this track at all because it seems unfinished. Very amateurish. It's got no cohesion. It doesn't sound very good. Riding to Work in the year 2025. You're Invisible Now. Very hollow. I just couldn't get on with it. 35,000 Feet of Despair. I like the strings on this, but it just seems just a collection of bits that are not put together properly. A Machine in India. This is really long, and it just seems it's 3 or 4 tracks just thrown together and not edited very well. The Train Runs Over the Camel, but it's derailed by the gnat. I love these titles. It's not too bad. It's very difficult to get on with that one. How will we know? Futuristic crescendos. I couldn't listen to this. There's this high-pitched whistle on it that really makes it unlistenable. March of the Rotten Vegetables. Weird sounds. I just couldn't listen to it. 6 minutes of nothing. And the best track is the last track. The Big Old Bug is the New Baby Now. Certainly sounds finished and smooth, and it's well produced. I quite like this. What a mishmash of this album is. 1 track's worth listening to. 2 tracks are just unfinished and noises. I really didn't get this album. But there are them little bits in it that are good. So I'll give that one an RTO ranking of 4 out of 5. Okay, coming in at number 15, we go to the year 2000 now. 19. And it's King's Mouth Music and Songs. It's a concept to the soundtrack to an art exhibition of the same name by frontman Wayne, which opened in 2017. And the album does also feature Mick Jones of The Clash. Okay, the first track is still We Don't Know How, We Don't Know Why. One of them little intros. It's quite nice, eerie, and you get some narration from Mick Jones, which is pretty good. Then we get the Sparrow. Now this is a very strange track. It's got Mick Jones doing the narration, but I just couldn't get on with it. Giant Baby, very short little track. Don't mind this one. It's quite clever how the voice speeds up a little bit. Very clever how they've done that. Mother Universe. All I can describe this is with an irritable noise with the odd stab of a little string piece. Not very good at all. How Many Times. Very interesting, this one. I like the tune. Very funny lyrics. Sense of humour is there. Oh, it's quite good. Then we have the best track on here, and it's called Electric Fire. Musically ambient, very creative. I don't mind this. Then we get All for the Life of the City. Bit Asian feel to it, a bit 60s, not too bad. Fiddly Dumb Beetle Dot. Strange. But it's quite listenable. Funeral Parade, an interesting track again. I love the bass line on this. You get the drumming, we get a sort of track chant. Very good. Yeah, I like that one quite much. Dipped in Steel, ambience, Mick Jones doing some narrating, pretty good. Mouth of the King, quiet little track, some nice tones and textures on this one. And then the last track, How Can Ahead, very atmospheric, ambient. I like that sort of thing. Bit of a mixed bag one here. There are some really good tracks on here, some very nice tones. I like the ambient sounds on this. There's two or three bits of bizarre on there, but I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 14, we got a 2009 now for the 12th album, Embryonic. This has got Wayne, Stephen, and Michael on here, and another Kilip Sherlock on drums. First track on here is called Convinced Off the Hex. Very psychedelic. I don't mind this track. I like this sound. It's quite atmospheric. I do like that. The Sparrow Looks Up to the Machine comes next. Little bit disjointed here. It's get a good track, and then it goes off into this weird tangent, and it never really recovers. So for the start of it, it's pretty good. Then we got Evil. Far too long. It's just boring. There's nothing good about it. Aquarius Sabotage. Very strange. It's got a lovely bass line to it, and it's a bit distorted, and it kind of adds to the atmosphere. See the Leaves. Again, a really strong bass line here, and then it goes halfway through. It goes into this real groove, and then it abruptly changes. It sounds like two songs have been glued together without no thought at the process. The two parts are good, but the way they're joined together just doesn't work for me. Then we get a track called If. Nothing to do with the bread song. Strange. Gemini Syringe is my favourite track on here. I love the ambient atmosphere on here. There's some lovely tones on here. Very, very good. Your Bats. I like the start, that lovely guitar, and then it just goes disjointed and unfinished. It seems to go down the hill very quickly. Very well structured at the beginning, and then the end is just chaos. Powerless, okay in places, but it's distorted and it spoils it a little bit. The Ego's Last Stand. One of the better tracks on here. It's got some nice grooves and tones on it. I Can Be a Frog. Yeah. This is a strange old track. Yeah, mad as a box of frogs, as they say. Then we get Sagittarius Silver Announcement. I like the idea of this one. It's got a lovely bass line. There's lots of good bass lines in this band. And then it just, in places it goes bizarre, but it comes back into a sort of a tune. So it's not too bad. Worm Mountain. I like the conception of this, but it's a little bit distorted in places. Scorpio Sword. Although it's only 2 minutes long, after a minute I'd had enough. It was so irritating. The Impulse, interesting again. I love the voice effect. You remember that kiddies thing, Sparky the piano? It reminds me of that. Silver Trembling Hands, love the beat on this. It's got nice sound effects and percussion. It's quite good. Virgo Self-Esteem Broadcasts, noises, very non-coherent rubbish. Didn't like it at all. Watching the Planets, it's okay, but the mix sounds a little bit hollow in places, and it seems like some of them are playing over the hills and far away, which is a shame because it could be a really good track. Another reasonable album, but I think the production let it down. The mix doesn't sound right. You got things that should be a bit more prominent and things that are not. It's all over the place, to be quite honest. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.3. Coming in number 13, we go to 2013 for the 13th album, The Terror. It's the first album for band member Derek Brown and the last with drummer Kilip Sherlock. And Wayne described this album, described the album's general idea in a press release. That's where I get some of this rubbish from. So we got Wayne on vocals and guitars, Michael on the bass, Steve on guitars, Kilip on drums, Derek Brown on keyboards, and guest performers Phantogram on additional vocals. Look, the Sun Is Rising is the first thing. Now we all hear things different, I get that, but I can understand how people actually call this music. It seems like it's 6 people doing their own thing. It's too busy. Okay, the next track, Be Free Away. Another song that has potential, but again they're being outrageous, I think, for the sake of it. I just didn't get it. I'm sure they're quite talented people, but that didn't work for me. Try to explain. When they get everything right, they get it right. This is a really good track. Wayne's vocals sound great on here. It's very coherent. It's a very well put together track. Lust. This features Phantogram. Far too long. 13 minutes. Goes off into too many tangents, and you just sort of lose yourself in it. Then we have the title track, The Terror. I really get where Wayne's coming from. He's a very talented man, but he's a little bit out there, and this, again, it's got some irritating sound effects on it that really put me off. You're Alone, it's very busy. Too many elements in it. Butterfly, How Long It Takes to Die. Quite good. Could have been cut by about 3 minutes though. There's 3 or 4 minutes there that just should have been thrown in a bin. But when you put the bits together, it does work. Turning Violent, unfortunately, it's not very memorable. It's got lots of distractions and noises. Always Be There in a Heart. This is really nice. It's got a lot of ambience. It's got a good beat to it. It's consistent all the way through. There's no tangents on this. So I'm going to give... I think this is pretty good. So, yeah, the album itself, again, it's very mixed. There's some really good stuff on here, and there's some just stuff on here that I just couldn't cope with or get the grasp with. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, then coming in at number 12, we go to 2006 now, and this is the 11th album, and it's called At War with the Mystiques. So it's Wayne, Steve and Michael and Kilip. The first song on here is called the Yeah Yeah Song with All Your Power. I like this song. Very quirky, good hook. I do like this. It's a really, really good track. Second track is Free Radicals and brackets, hallucination of the Christmas skeleton, pleading with a suicide bomber. Where they come up with these titles, I don't know. Again, it's very quirky. I like the bass line from Michael. It's really good. There's some funny sound effects that works. It's a pretty good song. Then we have my favourite on here. It's called The Sound of Failure. It's dark as it is always this dark. Is it all this way dark? Sorry. Very good. It's a very good indie rock sort of track. Very nice tones on the guitars. Very melodic in places. Pretty decent track. Then we have a track called, here we go again, one of these long ones. My Cosmic Autumn Rebellion, and in brackets, the inner life as blazing shield of defiance and optimism of a celestial spear of action. Try and say that after a few pints. Again, the song is really good. It's got some nice harmonies on this. Ambient track. I do like it. Vein of Stars is next. It's got some lovely strings on this. The bass again is very dominant. A very, very good track. Then we get a long track again. Here we go. The wizard turns on the giant silver flashlight and puts his werewolf moccasins. Puts on his werewolf moccasins. Yes. Very psychedelic though. I like this. The guitars are really good on this. Like that track. Oh, there's so many long tracks on here. The titles, that is. This is the next one. It overtakes me. The stars are so big. Am I so small? Do I stand a chance? Two tracks all glued together here. When they put two tracks together, they don't. It's not a smooth sort of transition. It's very abrupt. It's like when you edit a film. You know, you get so that jerky. It's like a film that's two clips have been together with no thing. It's just jerky. Yeah, they're both good, but they don't fit together smoothly. Then we get Mr. Ambulance Driver. Very ambient track. Some really nice tones and vocals on that. Haven't got a clue. Very quirky. They do put some really good effects on this. Really good start track. Then we get the WAND, which stands the will always neglects defeat. Very, very good little track. Some nice ambience on there. The next track is Pompeii am Gottendam Damerung. Something like that. Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen for you. That's what it is. Again, it's very good. I like the bass line. There's some distortion, but it's not too much that it irritates your ears. Then we get the last track, Going On. Good bass, good solid track, nice upbeat track, good one to end the album. I'd say this is the first real of the Flaming Lips albums I thought was very consistent. Some great tracks on here. I really enjoy listening to this one. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 5.6. Right, time for a drink. Okay, coming in at number 11. It's the second album from 1987 and it's called Oh My Gawd. It's Wayne, Michael and Richard English is on the drums on this one. We got the first, Everything's Exploding. Good little track, a bit post-punky. I like that. It's got them elements of a good track. I like that track quite a lot. Then we get 1/1,000,000 billionth of a millisecond on a Sunday morning. It takes a long time to get going. It's about 5 minutes before it really kicks in. But once it does kick in, it's a really good track. I actually do like it. Then we have Maximum Dream for Evil Knievel. Who remembers the Evil Knievel? It's okay. The guitar's a little bit off key. Can't Exist. This is an acoustic track. And it happens to be my favourite. I love the acoustics. And then you get a little bit of electric guitar on top of it. It really is a good track. Then we get Ode to CC Part 1. This is one of them TF moments. Yeah, 46 seconds of rubbish. The ceiling is bending. I like the drumming on this. It's really good. Really, it's just something about the drumming on this. Everything else sort of follows the drumming. Really good. Prescription Love comes next. A good track. Robert English, a very good drummer. It's my favourite rock track on here. It's really good. Thanks to you, very mellow, laid back, some lovely guitars on this one. Can't Stop the Spring. I love that opening riff to this. And you get a little bit of the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-ba-ba-da-boom, ba-boom. And then it goes back into that track with that opening riff. I like that track. Very clever put together, that one. Ode to the CC Part 2. Well, it's actually better than the first bit, which was just bonkers. I like the guitars in this. Then we have a track called the last track, Love Your Brain. It's got some lovely piano on here. A great vocal from Wayne. A really strong track to end the album. Really good album this is. It's quite rocky. I really enjoyed this one actually. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. So, coming in at number 10, we have the debut album from 1986, and it's called Here It Is. And it was the official debut of Wayne on vocals after his brother Mark had left. So it's Wayne, Mike and Robert. And the first track on here is called With You. A very, very strange way to start your debut album. Of sort of an acoustic track. A very good track. I like the tones on this. Unplugged. Very post-punk this is. Great sound. Richard English's drumming is fantastic on this. Good track. Then we have a track called Trains, Brains and Rain. Very good. It's just plug in and go and play. A proper sort of trio rock track. Very good. Jesus Shooting Heroin. The start of this is very deceiving because the guitar at the beginning sounds like Space Oddity. You expect the ground control to Major Tom to come in, probably nick that bit at the beginning, and it gets into its own. But it's a really good song. Just Like Before comes next. Really good track. Richard English's drumming on this is great again. Very good drummer. She Is Death, relaxing, spaced out and this is lovely harmonies. And then we get my favourite track on here, the Charlie Manson Blues. What a great track. Michael's bass line is great. It's bluesy sort of thing. Very good. Then we get a track called Man from Pakistan. Lovely sort of dram this is. It just seems like they just picked up their instruments and played. Godzilla Flick, great track, some lovely harmonies here, very good indie track. And then we get Staring at Sound Without and With You reprise. Like the drumming again on this, great drumming on this. It's a really good way to end the album. An exciting debut album, some really good rockers on here, enjoyed this album a lot. So I shall give this one an RTO ranking of 6.2. Okay, coming in at number 9, we have the 14th album from 2017. Now, this is a Polish. And I think I'll put, that's what it's in Polish, but if you translate it, it's The Young Eyes. Well, that's what the nearest translation you can get. It's the first album that featured Jake Ingalls, who joined the group in 2013. The first track is the title track, which I think Oczy Mlody or something. I don't know how to pronounce that. My Polish is not very good. It's a really nice piece of ambient music. I really like it. Very gentle. Then we get How, a very, very ambient track. The vocals are really eerie. Then there's a track called There Should Be Unicorns, which features Reggie Watts, another of those ambient tracks. I like the electronics on here. This must be the Reggie Watts input. Very good how they mix it. Very, very good. Then we get a track called Sunrise, Eyes of the Young. Nice song. Great lyric from Wayne. I love his vocal on that. Niggly Nye. Or there you go. It means never know. Distorted bass on it, which is a little bit off-putting. Galaxy I Sync. It's okay. Then we got one of the long titles again. One Night While Hunting for Fairies and Witches and Whizzes to Kill. Yeah. It's a good track though. The end bit's a bit weird, but it's on that. On the whole, it's pretty good. And then there's a track called Do Glowy. I didn't like it. I find it a bit weird. Then we get Listening to Frogs with Demon Eyes. This is one of those tracks that starts really good and then it goes off into tangents and it just loses itself. Yeah, I don't like tracks that do that. But the first 5 minutes of it's pretty good. Then we get The Castle. It's okay, not the best track on the album. Almost Home. There's some really good textures. It reminds me of sort of a modern, one of Jean-Michel Jarre's modern tracks. The textures, the techniques, the sounds. It's pretty good. And the last track is a track called We Are Family, and it features Miley Cyrus. It's okay. Not a particular favourite of mine, although Miley Cyrus's vocals are pretty good. Not a bad album. It's got a couple of oddments on there, but on the whole it's a pretty solid album. I did like the electronic sound they used on this. They used it to its full potential. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.3. Okay, coming in at number 8, it's their most current album, the 16th, and it was released in 2020, and it's called American Head. It's the final album to feature Michael Ivins and keyboardist Jake Ingalls, who both departed the band. I haven't said who's on the album, but there's so many people apart from Wayne, Steve and Michael, and there's so many people on this, on all of them, so I haven't mentioned them. So the first track on this is called Will You Return Stroke When the Comes Down. Really good track. Really goes back to their early days sound. It's a very good track. Good gritty guitars. Watching the light bugs glow. I love the vocal on here. It's very psychedelic. Excellent track. Flowers of Neptune 6. I like the arrangement in here. Wayne's vocals are pretty good on that as well. Some nice guitar work here as well from Stephen. Quite good. Dinosaurs on the Mountain. It's got some nice voice effects on here. Very, very ambient. Then we have a track called At the Movies on Qualadoos. A little bit flat in places. Don't like that one so much. Then my favourite track on here is called Mother, I Have Taken LSD. Very strange. I like the acoustics and the echo on that. Gives you this sort of spaced out feel. It really fits the title actually fits the sound of the song. Brother I love the guitar on this. It's very psychedelic. Some lovely tones on that guitar. You and Me Selling Weed. Not keen on this. It's a bit flat. There's some weird stuff in the background going on as well. Mother, Please Don't Be Sorry. Another of my favourites on here. It's very, very late 60s Beatles feel to it. You know, sort of the White Album period. It's really, really good. When We Die, When We're High. There's some vibraphone on here, and I love that, and it really adds to it. Assassinations of Youth. A solid track, some nice acoustic guitars on this. One of the most gentle tracks this band have probably done. Then we've got God and the Policeman featuring Casey Musgraves. It's not a bad track. There's a nice vocal on that. My religion is you. Love the guitars on this one. The drums are a bit mad, but that's okay. A very good album. Some lots of good tracks on here. Some odds as usual, but I got used to this, that you can't have all solid, consistent songs with the Flaming Lips. We have to have some curveballs in there, and there's a few on this one. But I'm going to still give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in number 7 then. It's the 5th album from 1992. Hit to Death in the Future. Hit to Death in the Future Head. It's Wayne, Michael, and Stephen. And then it's Jonathan on guitar, Jonathan Donahue on guitar, and Nathan Roberts. So we've got the first track on here. It's called Talking About the Smiling Death Porn and Mortality Blues. Everybody Wants to Live Forever. What a mouthful. It's a bit of a spacey rock track. I like this. There's a bit of that sort of cross between Hawkwind and Chrome. Very good. Hit Me Like You Did the First Time. Good track. Love the guitars on this. Although there's one bit where the notes are so high it pierces your ears. The Sun. Interesting track again. Some weird and wonderful sound effects going on in the background. Nice vocal from Wayne though. Really good. Felt Good to Burn is the next one. Too much going on. I couldn't make anything out on that one. Too busy. Ginger Ale Afternoon. The Astrology of a Saturday. Good track. Some great guitar on this. A great drum on this. Like that. Then we get my favourite track on this one. Halloween on the Barbary Coast. Love the starter that you got the 2 guitars making a good sound. The drums come in. It's psychedelic. That's probably why it's my favourite track. It's very psychedelic. The Magician versus the Headache. It's okay up until the last 30-40 seconds or so, because it just horrible noises. Why? Because it's a really good song and it ends on a bit of a downer for me. You Have Been Joking, and then back to Autopsy of the Devil's Brain. Seems unfinished. I don't know if they've got bored with it. It just ends. Well, what's going on here? Oh, I'm bored of this. I want to do something else. There you go. Then we have Frogs. Quirky. Some nice driving riffs on this. Hold Your Head. Very atmospheric start. I love the shimmery cymbals on that. Really good. Then we get Noise Loop. Oh. Yeah. What in God's name is this? 29 minutes and 16 seconds of dribble. It's just a continuous noise loop. Now I did find something out. This is what Richard told me on Saturday, that bands put these tracks on the end of albums to stop people so you can't record them and put them onto another disc and that. So it's just a noise. Apart from that, the whole album's pretty good. So I've not bothered, you know, I took into the consideration this noise loop, but the rest of the album is pretty solid. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.6. Okay then, coming in at number 6, we have the 1993 album Transmissions of the Satellite Heart. Bit of an album change round. Jonathan Donahue has left. Nathan Roberts left. And in came Ronald Jones on drums. And Stephen came. He came in on this one. So it's Wayne, Stephen, Michael, and Roland. First track on here is called Turn It On. I like this. It's got some good guitar riffs on it. Pretty good. Pilot can at the queer of God. I like this track. I love the drumming here from Roland. Some great guitar work from Steve, and there is one little screechy guitar which I'm not going to go into. Oh my pregnant head, and I'm not going to say the next bit because it's quite personal. Considering it's very psychedelic, but why did we have to have the other bit of the title? If you want to go and look it up, you can, but I'm not going to. Can't understand why that's in there, but yeah. Then we get my favourite track. It's called She Don't Use Jelly. Well, you can take this any way you like. Yeah. It's my favourite track though. It's very quirky. It's a good rock track. It's got a great bass line. I quite like that track. Chewing the Apple of Your Eye. It sounds like they're playing in another room that's been smothered and soundproofed. You can't hear what's going on. Subhumans. Great drumming on this. I love a good track with a good track. The drumming, but everything else is a bit mediocre. And I think the drums, although the drumming is good, it's overpowering. You can't hear everything else. Be My Head. Good little rocker. Foot-stamping rocker, that is. I like that. Moth in an Incubator. That's a strange old track, but in a strange way I like it. Plastic Jesus. And on the packaging it was a song from Cool Hand Luke in the sleeve notes, don't it? That's what it says. One of them weird tracks. Sounds like it's all been... You got someone in the middle and everyone else is in 3 rooms, so he's in like a corridor and they're just recording everyone in 3 different rooms. It doesn't come together very well. When You're 22, a quirky little track. I like this. Some great drumming on this, some great guitar riffs on that one as well. So nerve action, very distorted drum, but it sort of works. Very good track. A solid album, of course. But I haven't got through any of these albums where I've gone, I like every damn track. There's some weird stuff on this, but the good stuff is very, very good. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 5, we have the 4th album that came out in 1990. It's got a weird title, In a Priest-Driven Ambulance, and in brackets, with Silver Sunshine Stairs. First album that featured Jonathan Donahue and drummer Nathan Roberts. So it's Wayne, Michael, Jonathan and Nathan. And this was before Steve joined, of course. First track on here is Shine Sweet Jesus. Very space rock again. I love it when they do these space rock psychedelic tracks. Some great drumming here from Nathan. Very good track. Unconsciously Screaming. Funny start. One of them Flaming Lips tracks that's a bit weird, but it's a great track. Great bass line from Michael. I like that song. Raining Babies. I'm not very keen on this. It's a little bit disjointed and distorted. Take Me to Mars. Bass and drums are really good. It's got this little bit of keyboard that rolls through the background as well. And it's an interesting vocal from Wayne. Then we have my favourite on this one, 5 Stop Mother Superior Rain. Starts off with some nice acoustic guitar. That's always good. And then it builds up. It's a really good rock track. One of their best, I think. Definitely a top 10 song by the Flaming Lips for me. Stand in Line, another more acoustic guitar. There's a lot of acoustic guitar on this album. It's got some nice effects as well. Then God Walks Among Us Now, and in brackets, Jesus Song number 6. You just don't know what you're going to expect with this band. And you get some crying baby bangs. And then it turns into this great little rock track. Then we have There You Are, Jesus Song number 7. Really gentle. And I'd say one of the gentlest songs that this band ever did. The acoustic guitar in this is so nice. Mountainside is the next. Some nice riffs in this. Good little rocker, like a good little rocker. And then What a Wonderful World. It is a cover of Louis Armstrong's, and Wayne does a great job. It's a little bit different. They've done it in their style, but it works. It's a really nice song and a very good version of this. Some really good songs on here. Even Wonderful World's great. Bit different, but a solid album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.3. Another drink, dearie me. Right. Coming in at number 4 then. This is the 10th album from 2002. Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. This is Wayne, Stephen and Michael. The first track is called Fight Test, and this is Cat Stevens, The Flaming Lips and Dave Fridman. I like this. It's great. Very Beatlesque. Fantastic track. Then we get One More Robot / Sympathy 3000 to 21. Very good. It's got ambience. It's got different sounds on it. It really is futuristic even. Very good. Then we get Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots Part 1. I love the robots in this. It's got this robotic feel to it. It's got some great guitar work on this. Really good. Then we get Part 2. This is more rocky and an industrial, you know, that sort of industrial rock, Rammstein sort of industrial rock. Very, very good. In the Morning of the Magicians, my favourite track on here, it's the effects and the percussion that really adds to this, and they've got this driving bass line through it. Ego Tripping at the Gates of Hell. Very psychedelic, trippy, really good, well put together track. Are You a Hypnotist? I love the keyboards on this. Again, it's that chilly, sort of psychedelic, trippy sort of thing. Really good. It's summertime. There's a lot of drum machine on this, but it works. I've got this thing. If a drum machine is used properly and used to enhance the track, use them. But they've done it well on this. Very, very good. Then we've got a track called Do You Realise. This is the Flaming Lips and Dave Freeman. Reminds me of the Lightning Seeds in places. That's all I'll say. So it's a very poppy tune. It's quite good. Then we have All We Have Is Now. Nice textures on this. So solid. Approaching Pavillons Mons by Balloon. And in brackets Utopia Plantia. Ambient keyboards. The drum machine works as well. Some lovely, lovely tones on that. I really enjoyed this album. It's a little bit different. It's got some ambience on it. The drum machines work perfectly on this album. They don't feel out of place at all. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay then, coming in at number 3, we go to the 7th album from 1995. Clouds Taste Metallic. This one is Wayne, Stephen, Michael and Roland. And then the first track on this is called The Abandoned Hospital Ship. Interesting. Especially towards the end, you've got this doorbell thing going on. This is quite funny. I don't like the title of this one, but it's Psychiatric Explorations of the Fetus with Needles. Just sending shivers down my spine. Not the best title, but it's a pretty good track. Some nice riffs in it. Pity about the name of the track, really. Then we get a track called Placebo Head Wound. Roland Jones. We've got Steve. This is Stephen Droizat, whatever his name's drumming. Really good. Very quirky. The guitar works good on this as well. It's a really strong track. This here Giraffe. Not the best track on here. We've gone back to that weirdness. Very weird. Then we got Brainville. One of my favourite tracks on this one. the combination of electric and acoustic guitars works very well on that track. Here we go, one of them things. Guy who got a headache and accidentally saves the world. It's a weird track, but a good track in the same breath. I just there's some a little bit off-kilter guitar work, but it actually fits. It's a strange one, that is. When You Smile, really nice melody on this. Wayne's vocals are great. Kim Watermelon Gun. I like this. This is a proper indie rock track. Very, very good. They Punctured My Yoke. Everyone sounds a bit drunk on here. It's funny. I don't know if they were drunk, but it's quite funny. Lightning Strikes the Postman. It's got some great guitar work on that. Then we get Christmas at the Zoo. Very unusual sort of melodic rhythm. Well, that works. Sometimes these tracks work. I like that. Then my favourite track on here is called Evil Will Prevail. Very melodic. It's got a great bass line, and I love the drums on this track as well. Bad Days, Orally Excited version. Probably the weakest track on the album. The bit in the middle's a bit fun, but apart from that, not very good. A really good album. And its wonderful weirdness as well. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 2, we've got the 9th album. This came out in 1999 and it's called The Soft Bulletin. This features Wayne, Michael and Stephen. First track on here is Race for the Prize. A reasonably good track. I love that little bit of keyboard. Really adds to it. A Spoonful Weighs a Ton. One of my favourites on the album. There's some strings on this and it really fits in with this song. A great vocal from Wayne. I like that one. Spark, The Spark That Bled. The drumming's good on this. I love how there's this hollowness to it, and it works. And with the guitar on top of it, it's a really good track. Slow Motion comes next. A bass line that's good, some piano, great little track. What Is the Light? My favourite track on here. It's just a basic piano and a bass and a great vocal. It's just very simple but nice. The Observer, it sort of carries on from the last track, and the piano's gone into more keyboardy sounds. Very quirky. Waiting for a Superman, very ambient track. I love the vocal from Wayne on this. It's a really good song. One of my favourite songs by the Flaming Lips, actually. Suddenly Everything Has Changed. It's got little tinges of Beatles in here. There's nothing wrong with that. The Gash, lots of orchestra. I like these orchestral sounds. Very good. Feeling yourself disintegrate. The start's a bit weird, but it comes into a great song because the vocal on it from Wayne is good. Sleeping on the Roof. Lovely piano on this, and you get some grasshopper sounds as well. It's really interesting. And then we get Race for the Prize, which is the Morkarang riff. Doesn't sound right. Waiting for Superman, the Morkarang mix. Sounds a little better than the other version. It's a little bit richer. It's one of them tracks that someone remixed and it does work. Then Bugging. That's not very good. A really good album. Lots of quirky tracks on here. I really enjoyed this one, even though some of those tracks are a little bit bizarre as ever. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, before I reveal my number 1, I'd just like to say, I can't remember who asked me to do this, but again, it's been a wonderful journey, and I have discovered some really good albums. I haven't purchased any. I have put some into my library on Spotify, and one of them is the number 1 album, and it's their 3rd album from 1989. It's called Telepathic Surgery. And on here it's Wayne, Michael and Richard. Wayne's lead vocals and guitar, Michael's bass, backing vocals, and Richard is drums and keyboards and backing vocals. First track on here is Drug Machine in Heaven. I love that bass line from Michael. Absolutely killer bass line. It's a good old-fashioned rock track. Can't beat it. Right now, drums on this is terrific. It's a good, solid rock song. Michael, Time to Wake Up. I don't know if this is Michael falling asleep. It's it's a bit of guitar feedback, so I think it's though we're trying to wake Michael up. Chrome Plated Suicide. I love this. The sound of it's good. Some great guitars from Wayne. Richard English's drumming is superb on this. Okay, next track. Excuse this bad language in this. It's called Hare Krishna Stomp Wagon, and in brackets, fuck Led Zeppelin. My favourite track on here. It's a good old-fashioned rock track. Great bass line from Michael. I just love it. Miracle on 42nd Street. Ambience. Bass line's good. Frying Up. Great riffs. Love the drumming again. It's a really good solid rock track. Hell's Angel, Cracker Factory. Interesting track. There is so much going on, but it all comes together, and what it is, it's that guitar solo that really adds to it, and a great vocal as well. It's just so interesting. UFO Story. There's this underlying riff that goes through the whole track, keeps coming in, but it just hooks you. It's a long track. It's weird and ambient. It's just really good. Redneck School of Technology. Good little rocker with some nice harmonica. Can't beat a bit of harmonica. Next track. Shaved Gorilla. The first bit is a lot of pictures of an exhibition. We think, hello, we got that, but then it goes out, comes out of this. You think, well, why did they put that in there? It just doesn't fit, but it's there. Then all of a sudden you get the guitar riffs coming in, and it really is good. Then we've got the Spontaneous Combustion of John. Nice little acoustic guitar piece. It's only a minute long. And then we get the Last Drop of Morning Dew. Very short track again, but the guitar work is really technical. I like that. And the last track, Begs Aching. Melodic. The drumming's pretty good. Solid end to the album. I think this album is the best rock album they've done. It's got, I mean, UFO's very psychedelic and bizarre, but it doesn't really spoil the album because there's so many great songs on this. I love this album. It was one of them albums I went off, put on, and I got into it straight away. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go, the Flaming Lips. A thoroughly enjoyable discovery again. I mean, the last couple of weeks I've done a couple of bands that I'm not very hot on, but I've thoroughly enjoyed doing these. I always enjoy doing these. Okay, that's all for today. But tomorrow we have round 1, tie 1 of Battle Royale. And this is between Remembering Tomorrow by Nectar and Escape by Journey. Also tomorrow we have got a pick and mix, and we're going to look at the UK top 10 for the 5th of October 1977. So that's all coming tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.